Welcome to this chapter on Settings Question Bank tab, where we will explore the things within the Question Bank tab, which are closely correlated to posting your first job, because you need to have a pre-screening template in place, at least a generic one, initial one that you can use, and assessments you can create at a later point. But this is where all of this happens. Now, starting off with the virtual pre-screening questions templates, we'll create a generic one which will apply for all roles and it will be set as default. Let's call it generic pre-screening questions template. The instructions are added by default. These are currently the system configurations which are set up. Optionalities will be coming up where you have the option to tweak the durations as well. Now, you can choose between the questions from our default library, or you can add your own custom questions, or a mixture of both. For this example here, I would use the custom questions because I want to show also an additional functionality that we have. So starting off, let's say with availability and logistics. Mind you, for this example, this is a generic question template, which will be used for all roles. So the questions themselves have to be more generic in nature. You can create afterwards also custom templates for different types of roles. Let's say software engineering roles, C-level roles, accounting roles, sales roles, depending on the role itself. For this example, we're doing the generic template first. So, are you able to commence employment in the upcoming month? Now, the interesting part here is, depending on the purpose of this question, you need to be very specific here. This would instruct our algorithms to give you a positive, higher rating or a lower rating based on the question which was provided by the candidates. So here we're saying, are you able to commence employment in the upcoming month? Give me a positive rating if the above answer is, give me a high rating if the above answer is positive. This would instruct our algorithms to pick this up. Now, let's select one more, compensation and benefits. What are your salary expectations for this role? Purpose being, again, we can set something more generic. So let's say if the candidate gives me an answer between $2,000 and $5,000, give the question rating a high score. Again, this is not seen obviously by the candidate. You're just teaching our AI system on what you're looking for so that you can quickly get the AI summary feedback and rating as well based on what you're after in terms of outcomes. Okay, I'm just adding these to you just as an example. Now I can save the template. And from here, we have our generic pre-screening questions template, which if I set as default, as seen in the previous chapters with the job posting, you will get this as the predetermined preset pre-screening template. You can't post your first job without having at least one template to begin with. And afterwards, when you add the rest for the different roles, then on the option where you can customize it, you can choose what tests you want to apply. Now, coming back to the second half of this chapter, here you can create your manual tests where you want standardized testing. You first need to select and create a group. So I've already created one, product manager. And when you save it, then you can add your new template. You can add your new manual test assessment in this case. And once you've done that, you have the option now also to choose, first of all, which template group it should land. And then you can choose between standalone questions, which can be either multiple choice questions in nature or subjective, so essay-based questions. Or you can choose case-based questions, especially for roles such as business analyst. You can share your whole use case here. And then below, add different types of questions, which can be a mixture between, again, subjective ones, where it's an open-ended question, or multiple choice ones. And once you've saved them, you save them within the given group, right? The template group. And I'll explain in a second why this is important. Here we have an example of already a created such version. Also, you can add your instructions as well. And once this is done, we go here from manage templates to manage tests. Because in the manage tests bit, we can create a new tests. The tests are a combination of the pre-screening questions and the types of assessments, skills assessments that you want to have. So as you can see, they're based on role. But now the important thing to bear in mind here is once you're creating a test, let's say, just as an example, software engineer test, right? It's very generic. You can be as specific as you want. If I select a template from the pre-screening template, I will choose the pre-screening questions which are for that specific role. Now I have also the option to generate with AI from scratch and write a few question suggestions, write the number of questions here and the passing criteria. For the skills assessment bit, I have also the option to select a group. Now, back to the important bit that I was referring to regarding the assessment templates, the manual ones. When you select a group, the tests in there can vary from candidate to candidate. So it will choose a generic a random test, pardon. It will choose a random test from this assessment group, and no candidate will have the exact same test, which means if you have two people from university applying for a junior business analyst role, they won't be able to copy from one another. Let's say if they're applying for the same role as well, because the tests will vary. But these are the standardized tests. Now you have the other two options where you can generate with AI, but be a bit more specific with the rubrics and say specifically, for example, I want 20 questions from which 15 are multiple choice, 5 are essay-based questions, and on the essay-based questions, I want to dig deeper to understand what their understanding of the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is, for example, or what is their knowledge of the Java language, and then go into specific details, something you want to figure out. The important thing to bear in mind here is you need to also mention afterwards exactly the number of questions that you referred to in the prompt itself. And once this is done, also add the passing criteria for the test. This is one way to generate it with AI, a bit more specific. So again, you're using AI as help, but you're specific on the type of test you want, customizable test for the individual candidates. If you use the generic one from our system, it's set by default at 15 questions. You have between 3 to 4 essay-based questions. The rest are multiple choice. But this is our default setting. If you want to be more specific, you want to have less questions, more questions, but they're be more specific, and you want our AI's help to create those questions and generate them, you can do it from here. And now, just as an example, I'll switch this off and I'll use one of the templates. Let's say that passing score is, let's say, 70%. When I save the test, let's say 50%, because these are pre-screening checking questions. Save test. Once this is done, this is the test in the previous example, in the previous chapter with jobs, where you choose and select this customized test for. So the test is a combination between what you want in the skills assessment bit and what you want as a pre-screening template, right? then you can have the customized option. If you're using the other option where you just choose the system defaults, it will take whatever you've set here as a default pre-screening questions template, and it will generate the standard AI generated skills assessment, which is 15 questions, part of them essay-based, part of them multiple choice, but generic based on the job description and CV and seniority of the candidate themselves. So this is the chapter on the question bank tab, which is very important when you're setting up your environment for the first time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next chapter.